there may still be some joining us as we get started, but I feel like we can
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, good. We won't take up too much of everyone's time today, but we certainly appreciate everyone being here. Just some housekeeping. We are going to talk about taking your first application. If you visit us at https://goldencareagent.com, you'll see all the various materials that we have available for the agents. During this presentation, there's no need to take a lot of notes because we will share these slides with you after the webinar. If you need to leave early, that's okay. We're recording this presentation, and after the presentation, we will send you the link. Get contracted. No matter your product preference, we have something to fit your needs and grow your business. Something new and exciting that we just launched is an underwriting corner. It's on LinkedIn, also on the website. You'll see posts and tips and underwriting insights posted to social media. We try to do those a couple of times a week at least, just to kind of maybe touch on some of those underwriting questions that might come up we see very frequently, clear up a little bit of gray area for you, and just to keep engaged with myself on social media. If you ask a question or make a comment underneath, I will interact with those. All right, so let's just jump in. This is Welcome to Taking Your First Application. I'm thrilled to be with all of you today. I'm a health science grad with a master's in leadership. I've spent over a decade teaching everything from pharmacology to professional development. I've also served as a program director for Allied Health here in Houston. Some of you may know me from my time at ManhattanLife, where I helped build OmniFlex underwriting from the ground up. Watching it grow into what it is today has been one of the highlights of my career. I love OmniFlex. I'm still just as passionate about it. This session is built especially for our agents without a medical background. Our goal here today is to help you confidently write your first OmniFlex policy without second guessing yourself. So let's dive in, and I hope we can chat again soon about your OmniFlex cases. So one of the things we're going to do today is we're going to go to the producer website at ManhattanLife and go through an application. We'll look at the quote and enroll. We're going to talk about the download section, and we're going to look at the correspondence and kind of how to read some things in your agent portal. Lynn, are you able to see the ARC on your end?
Yes, I can.
Yep, perfect. Good. Okay. So when you log into the Agent Resource Center and you go to your dashboard, you'll see a button for quote and enroll. You'll find that this website is very user-friendly. From here, you can quote, you can look at enrollments that you've saved, you can look at your settings, create your settings. Also, they just added this feature where you can access all the product downloads from this page. Policyholder forms, agent forms, other documents. And then if you click ARC, you go right back to where we just were, where you can see your dashboard with your in-force business and things like that. But what we're going to focus on is taking that first application and going through the process. So we're going to look at quote. We want to create a quote. So you want to enter the zip code to where your applicant is. You want to enter their birth date. Shows that they're 53. Are they male or female? The effective date. I'm going to put maybe a week out because you just kind of want to allow a little bit of time for processing. And if they have a dependent. From the demographic information that you put there, it's going to show you the different products that are available to your client. We're only concerned right now with the OmniFlex. So the first thing they're going to ask is if they have a spouse, if you're interested in the spousal discount. For this training, we're going to say no on those questions. But if they did have a spouse that was applying or a spouse that does have a policy that's in force, you would click yes, so you could obtain that spousal discount. You can either do a quick quote where you skip the health questions, you go straight to the coverage selection, and those health questions will automatically be answered as no. But for this training, we're going to do a full quote. So the first thing that you're going to do is get one set of health questions, and these health questions are going to determine the level of coverage that your applicant can get. Also, it's the tobacco question that's going to help determine rates as well. So for now, we're going to answer no on these questions. And we're going to go through these questions in just a little bit with the underwriting portion. So since we've answered no to those questions, the full amount of benefits will be available to this client. So you choose your benefits using the slider bar, and then you choose your benefit period. We want to max it out. We want to go the full 360, and we want no elimination period where we don't have to wait. We get our benefits right away. And we're going to do the same for the home health care rider. We want to max it out. We want to do the biggest benefit period we can with no elimination. And then we're going to skip the hospital indemnity just for this demonstration, but we do want the simple inflation. So from here, you can look at the proposal, save it, print it for your applicant, for your client, whatever you want to do from here. You can choose if you want EFT or direct billing. If you get direct billing, the monthly is not available. Choose quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. Also, the benefits description. So while you're preparing your quote, you can pull down your agent guide. You can also print or save a copy of the short-term care brochure, all on the same page. So the total for the quarter is $461.85. Also keep in mind that that first draft or the first bill is going to include that $25 policy fee. So we're satisfied with this. We've taken what we've needed from here. Client is good, ready to go. All right, so now we can begin enrollment. And from here, it's just some simple questions. We're going to do the demographics first. So we're going to apply for John Doe. And the social, make sure you have a social. The birth date and the gender have pulled over from the first page, the quoting screen. We're going to put the address. We're just going to say he lives on Sesame Street. And you need a phone number. Okay, then we click next. And you'll see now that we've have every field filled out correctly on that page, the applicant screen turns green. So that's what you want to see at the end of it all, is that all of this is green. So now we're going to look at the health questions, some additional questions. These are going to determine if they're eligible for any coverage at all. So let's say no. Okay, these are the health questions. And if you'll look at this set of health questions, these are very big conditions. These are the uninsurable conditions. So, and it tells you at the end of each one, if the answer is yes, you're not eligible for coverage with our short-term care product. So now we're looking at things like AIDS, if they are eligible for Medicaid or on early Medicare due to disability, or are they disabled. That does not include the VA ratings. So it's just disability. Are they disabled? Are they eligible for Medicaid? Then you can click no if they meet this criteria. The next one involves their ability to function independently. Let's see, they are not receiving assistance or supervision. That's what you want to see. Are they currently in a facility? Well, if they're already using the thing that's going to cause them to need the policy, that's a huge risk. That would be a no-no. They're already in a facility receiving any kind of care. The next big one is Alzheimer's disease, dementia, Parkinson's disease, not all stages, just the advanced stages 4 and 5. Those would be knockouts. Huntington's chorea, cognitive impairment. So if they have any memory issues, you're going to want to mark yes for that, and they would not be eligible for coverage. Are they currently receiving, now this is our big diabetes question, diabetes resulting in neuropathy, retinopathy, kidney disease, renal insufficiency, kidney dialysis. So that's going to be your diabetes with complications. So if they have any of those things, they are not eligible. Are they receiving treatment by a medical professional for insulin-dependent diabetes in conjunction with heart failure? So here they're asking two things, insulin-dependent with heart failure. If they're not insulin-dependent and have heart failure, they can be considered for the $100. But if they have insulin-dependent with heart failure, they can't be considered at all. This is a big one. We're going to get to this one in the underwriting portion. Have they been advised to have test, treatment, or surgery that has not yet been performed, or are they pending test results? So we're going to say no. And then this is going to be your cancer question. And then this one is where you're going to fill in if they're taking any medications. And I'm going to show you real quickly how to do that. So you want to say they're taking metformin. They started that, we'll say, they started it sometime in 2020. So we'll say 01/01/2020. Their frequency is once a day. And they're taking that for diabetes. So you could put DM, which started in 01/01/2020. So you're not finished at this point. From here, you have to click the plus, and that way it will save. So at that point, you could go on to the next once you have all the drugs filled out. That's probably the most tedious part right there. The rest is pretty simple. So it's your email consent. Either you consent and you put the email address, or you can decline it. Payment information, we said we were going to do direct billing quarterly. We want it sent same as the applicant. That's the only choice you can do anyway. Bill me directly, save. If you have multiple products, you can assign to all products, or you can assign to the selected product. Okay, you choose your beneficiary. We want it to go to the estate, or you can designate a beneficiary, and you would fill that out there. And you can do multiple if you need to. Then we have the agent authorization and signature. This is where you put the applicant's mother's maiden name. We want a copy of this policy sent to either the agent or the insured. And any agent notes you have, you can add those here. If it's a questionable med that might be on the application and you maybe want to give a longer description, you can add that there. Or you can say, you can send the policy to the applicant's son at this address. You could put this is just a free text box. You could put pretty much anything that you'd like. And then you as the agent, you sign here. This is your attestation. You do sign that to the best of your knowledge. There is or there is not a replacement involved at this time. And then you just state here that it's true and correct. You can add in any agent splits if you have them here. We don't have any here. And then from there, you make sure everything is green. You go to next. Just reminding you again what coverage you've chosen, the premium amount, and then you would click Submit Application. Or if you say, oh, wait, they do want to put their email, you can go back and you can edit that page. Or if they say, wait, I'm taking more medications, okay, not a problem. You can just click on that tab and you go right back to it. So that's the simplicity of filling out that e-app. So there are some other functions on your agent portal. So if you go into your dashboard, you can look at your agent policy list. You can review your cases. So when you click on your policy list, you click on your in-force business. To review the case, you would just click on the name, anywhere in that column, the name. You can click on the plan description. Wherever you click in that area, it's going to take you over to the case, the correspondence and things like that. But from here, just looking at this case, which I've blocked out, of course, the name and the policy number just for privacy's sake. But you can see that under policy status, it says pending review. Pending review means the underwriter needs to take possession of the application and review it. That can happen at the beginning of the application process, and it can also happen again if a PHI is needed. So it's going to go back into pending review after a PHI has been performed. That means that the underwriter has to take it again and review the results from the phone health interview. And then that second one, you see that they are approved, but they had requested a future policy effective date. So you might also see declined in that section, you might see that they're pending a PHI. You would see that it's been withdrawn, or if it was non-taken. If they decided after their 30-day free look they didn't want it anymore, then we would just say that the policy was not taken. So if you click into your case and you go look at the correspondence tab, you'll be able to see um, the copy of the application, the policy print, any decline letters, amendments, endorsements, if they were sent a bill, if they're sent a bill reminder. You can always go and look in their correspondence tab and pull off any correspondence that's happened between your client and the company. Pending PHI. So not every application is going to result in a PHI, but there are times that there needs to be some clarification, and we'll get into that in just a few minutes. So you can see that this one is pending a PHI. So expect a delay in this case because this part is dependent on the application and the interviewer. They have to connect. So you can click on the applicant and see that the attempts that have been made to contact the client. So here we can see that they've had a first contact attempt, which was closed, and that was closed on 6/23/25. That means it was unsuccessful because it's still pending a phone interview. So they're pending the phone interview. The first contact attempt was made on 6/23. So they tried to make 3 attempts to contact them before they close the application. So just keep that in mind. So when you drill into your applicant and you see the underwriting requirements come up and you see that PHI, know that they are trying to get in touch with your applicant and maybe encourage your applicant to reach out to Manhattan to complete that phone health interview. Now, we've covered the EAP, pretty simple process. So now we're going to get into a little bit of the underwriting. We're not going to go too in depth. Underwriting is the insurance world's version of the detective work, just trying to see if the client story checks out. So we're going to get into just the bare bones basics here. Underwriting is the risk assessment process that insurance companies use to determine the eligibility and the pricing. So as we talked about, when they answer that first set of health questions, if they answer yes to those health questions, that doesn't mean they're not eligible for the product. It just means they're only eligible for up to $100 per day and no simple inflation rider. Think of it like qualifying for a loan. Here we're just reviewing their health and lifestyle to ensure that they get the right coverage. And your role as an agent is to provide accurate health details up front to prevent delays. Your client will answer simple yes or no health questions. Those help determine eligibility and coverage type. Your job is to ensure that all questions are answered clearly. You don't want to guess. So one of the health questions would ask, in the last 24 months, have you been treated for, diagnosed with, or taken any medications for cancer? Simple yes or no question. So here, if you're unsure, always you can call me for clarification before you submit. The questions are direct, but your clients will try to wiggle around them. So you have to be firm. You don't want them to guess. You don't want them to say, oh, I think so. If they had a stroke, they had a stroke. So don't sugarcoat it because underwriters will dig. They'll look for clues. They will call. And then it may be at that time that they call that the client says, oh, well, yeah, that did happen. So the more precise the information that we receive up front, the smoother the process goes. But if you put a vague diagnosis, if it's missing medication details, and they are pending treatments, that can slow things down or even cause a decline. So let's break it all down. You have in your hands with the application, you have the underwriting guide right there. So if you look at the structure of the health questions, you'll see that the underwriting criteria is listed within the question. You'll see that there's a time frame. Have you ever, are you currently, or within the last however many months? That's your time frame. That's your look back. And then it might say the criteria like, have you been treated for? Have you been diagnosed with? Have you been prescribed medications for? And then that last part of the health question is what lists the conditions. So that's the underwriting criteria right there. If, let's say they've had a stroke 4 years ago, that's okay. Time frame on that is 2 years. So these are the questions from section 1 again, and those determine if your client will qualify for any OmniFlex coverage. A client that answers yes to any questions in section 1 is ineligible for coverage. And again, these are the big things. That's your AIDS, HIV, ARC, Medicare disability. If they need help with their ADLs, if they're having memory problems, if they're having other chronic conditions that are going to just cause further organ damage, they're not going to recover from these things. Have they been advised to have test, treatment, or surgery that has not yet been performed? That's a big mystery there. That's a big question mark. That's the unknown that underwriters fear. And then also the big cancer question. Those are 24-month timeframes for the cancers. Most declines come from health question number 4 in section 1. Within the past 12 months, have you been advised to have test, treatment, or surgery that has not yet been performed? So that is a knockout question. But when I get prequals, I very seldom see anyone even address this. So it's very important to always ask this question upon intake, because this question is going to be re-asked in every single phone health interview. Now, that doesn't mean every single person that applies, again, is going to get a phone health interview. Just know that if your client does get called for a phone health interview, they're going to ask them this question again. So let's look into more detail about what this question even means. So tests don't include routine screenings like your mammograms, bone density scans, your lab work, things like that we actually want them to stay on top of. Pending diagnostic tests is what we're looking for. Tests to determine stages of cancer, even if it's presumed clear. Carotid artery studies, ultrasounds, things to diagnose symptoms. Have they been told in the last year that they should have a surgery and it's not yet been performed? Are they receiving any ongoing physical therapy or any spinal injections? Those would lead to declines. So remember to ask this question when pre-screening your applicants, even if they're pending something, anything, wait. Wait until it's completed. So these are the questions that you answer first on the e-app, but they're second on the paper app. And this is what the underwriters are going to look at first, also to just kind of determine what level of coverage can they get. So these are not knockout questions. If they answer yes to any or all of these questions, they can still be considered for a maximum of $100 per day per rider. No simple inflation. They're not declines. Some coverage is still available. And the time frame for this section is 2 years. And these questions are very interesting because most carriers will just flat out decline. But if they've had a stroke in the last 2 years, CHF, if they've had an organ transplant, if they have diabetes and it requires a lot of medications, if they have lupus, MS, muscular dystrophy, cerebral palsy, ALS, if they have psychotic disorders, if they have alcohol or substance abuse disorders, neurological or neuromuscular diseases, if they've had an amputation caused by disease such as diabetes, if they have COPD, if they are on oxygen, if they have chronic liver disease, they can still get up to $3,000 a month of coverage per rider. So just remember that these are not declines. These are just lowering the amount of coverage that they can get per day. Now, this is a part where the underwriters really start thinking. That's where their underwriting wheels start to turn. So if you look at the one on the left, this is what the underwriter is going to see. And you can see things like depression. That's fine. That's a diagnosis. It started in 2021. But when you see blood thinner, fluid, blood sugar, tingling, cancer, those are all huge red flags to the underwriter. They're going to have tons of questions if they don't just decline. So blood thinner, that's saying what the medication does, but it's not telling us why they're on it. Are they on it because they had a clot? Is it for stroke prevention? Is it because they have AFib? So if they're on a blood thinner, be sure you ask why. Blood thinner is not the end of the road here. We need to know why. The only time a blood thinner is going to be called into question is if they've been on a blood thinner because of a stroke in the last 2 years. But if it's for a clot, if it's for AFib, that's okay. They can still get through with full benefits. If they're on something for fluid, the underwriter might think, well, they could have congestive heart failure, which is lessen benefits. Blood sugar, well, is it elevated? Is it controlled? Do they have diabetes or not? So be very specific when it comes to things like diabetes because those conditions are underwritten. Tingling. Well, we see this person is taking gabapentin since 2021 for tingling. Underwriter is going to automatically think that this person has neuropathy because tingling is a symptom. It's not a diagnosis. That could mean neuropathy. So they're either going to call or they're going to decline because they've already said they have issues with their blood sugar. They're on insulin and they are taking gabapentin. So now they have diabetes with neuropathy. That's a decline. And then the tamoxifen since 2020 or 2019, that's a long time. And they're taking it every day. So you want here to be sure to note, is it still active or is it in remission or is it used for prevention? So you could put prevention, cancer in 2020, remission since 2021. So be sure to write out all of those things on your application. You can even put them in the agent notes section that I showed you earlier in the e-app. So medications tell on you. You're not a doctor, but you are the translator between what your client says and what the underwriter needs to hear. So it's going to tell on the applicant um, because the underwriter is going to not only look at this section, they're also going to pull their prescription history for the last 2 years. So those medications give clues about a person's health. Blood thinners usually indicate heart issues and potential for a stroke. So if a client lists a medication, always ask, what do you take this for? It's a blood thinner. Why are you taking a blood thinner? You're taking a water pill. Did the doctor tell you what you need a water pill for? No need to be a doctor here. Just gather the complete information. If you can't get a definitive diagnosis, every effort will be made by the underwriter to obtain it. It's not the end of the world. And also, this would be a good chance to say, okay, I don't know what questions to ask in this scenario. So then you could just reach out to me and I can help give you a better line of questioning to ask and give you some scenarios that could kind of help you along as well. So what does the underwriting process even look like? So first of all, the underwriter is just going to skim down that application and check for all yes or no uh, answers. Then the underwriter is going to look at that prescription portion that we just talked about. So far, if that looks okay, the next thing we're going to do is they're going to run the prescription history check. If there's any discrepancies, does the medication listed align with the application, like the medication in the RX check? Does it align with the application? Are there medications in the RX check that are not on the application that could indicate a condition that is underwritten? And if that's the case, if there's a little bit of discrepancy, they'll do a PHI call for clarification. This is not a long like an LTC type interview. This is, hey, I see you're taking warfarin. It's not listed on your application. Just kind of want to see, what are you taking the warfarin for? That's pretty much it. So if the prescription history on the application or the RX check are alarming, a PHI will be placed to the applicant. That could keep the application open for many days, depending on the length of time it takes, as we talked about, for the applicant to complete the interview. And then a decision is made, and then the application is sent for finalization. After it leaves underwriting, it goes to their new business department where your policy print is made and sent out. And then once the decision is made and that policy is made active or declined, the agent portal will update overnight. So keep that in mind. The agent portal doesn't update in real time. It updates the next day. So you can get up the next morning and kind of check and see where all of your cases are the next morning. So be honest and thorough because missing information can lead to delays. Encourage your clients to prepare their med list before they apply or have their medication bottles handy. If they have a complex history, pre-screen them with me first. And if I have any big questions, I can reach out to the carrier. And then just know that a well-prepared application means faster approvals and happier clients. So just to recap, underwriting is our risk assessment. They're going to answer, you want to answer your health questions clearly, avoid any common mistakes, leaving blanks on the app, leaving off a diagnosis, leaving off the years, little things like that, and putting a vague diagnosis or a symptom. If you can get that definitive diagnosis, that's going to help a lot. Medications provide important clues because that's what the underwriters are looking for. They're detectives and they are looking for clues. So set your clients up for success. So you don't have to know it all. You've got me. Reach out, ask questions, mess it up once, twice, it's fine. Every policy you write will build confidence. So go knock out that first app. Now, I gave you a lot of information today. If you want more information, join myself and our regional director, Morgan. We're going to go through our decline placement and underwriting concierge service. So decline placement can happen after you get a decline, send it to us, give us the information. We can help you pivot. There's something out there that will fit your client. And the underwriting concierge service is if you're having trouble with the meds and you're having trouble with the diagnosis, and I don't know where this client might fit, those types of things, July 17th at 11 a.m. Central Time. Look for the sign up for that one soon. That's going to be full of a lot of information with more resources for you to use. I really hope that you guys took a lot out of today's presentation. I do want to open it up. If you do have some questions, go ahead and type those in the chat. I'm happy to answer
We do
those while
have
I have you.
one.
We do have
So
one. Let me
we,
open that up. Okay,
yep,
let's.
it has to do with the heart failure comment you made a little earlier on in the presentation,
Okay.
pairing it with diabetes. Do stents or bypass surgery mean quote unquote heart failure?
No, no,
That's
because
a very good
once
question.
that was a really good question. Yes, a lot of other carriers will decline for stent or any type of heart surgery. Manhattan Life does not. OmniFlex does not. They can come in with stents and things like that with heart surgery. They even allow a heart attack. No time frame.
Alongside of diabetes?
So diabetes with heart failure, we're looking at like congestive heart failure.
I
You
see.
know, the heart's just not functioning. If they have a stent put in, they're probably doing a lot better. So that might be on a case by case, but remember that's insulin dependent, not just metformin. It's not type 2. It's insulin dependent. So that would have to be a really tough case. They would probably be really sick. Um, but no, the stent and things like that won't count for heart failure. No.
Okay. Very, very helpful. And we didn't have time to add a slide in here, but remember Renee mentioned our new underwriting corner. If you're not part of the community yet, go ahead and request access to the short-term care professionals group on LinkedIn. We're posting exclusive content on there. Members get the early notifications when new tools and programs are made available. They get to see all of these underwriting corner um, tips and insights, interacting with Renee here to answer questions. They're the first to know. But as we are posting these comments and such, you may actually see them shared through some of mine or other Golden Care staff accounts. But be sure to jump on LinkedIn and connect with Golden Care. We've got a whole lot going on, and there's quite a bit of interaction with Renee and answering, you know, keeping in mind that anything HIPAA sensitive, but just some basic questions. Really good program. It's just starting off, and we've already had several posts. All right.
Any other questions? No other questions? Nothing new?
I didn't see anybody else type anything in
Okay.
while we were
Okay.
answering that. So, again, if you do come up with a question, remember our team will be reaching out afterwards just to check in and see if there was anything we could help with, any cases we can be helping with. That first application can be tricky. The Golden Care team, we are at your disposal. So if you do have questions, remember we'll be following up with you either today or tomorrow.
All right. And I don't mind if you need to call and have me walk you through that first e-app. I don't mind at all. I've done it. I don't mind it. And it gives me a chance to get to know you as well.
Perfect. Well, since there's no other questions, I believe we're able to wrap this up.
All
Kept
right.
it just a little over a half hour, but that's totally fine. Sometimes the questions can add a little extra time. So I'm so glad for everybody's participation. Remember to visit our website, goldencareagent.com. And there are lots of resources out there. And please contact Renee if you've got any
Yes,
cases you'd like to work with.
absolutely. I look forward to hearing from y'all.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Have a great week.
Golden Care is looking forward to serving you with new tools, new products, new innovations, and always the best support in the business to help you succeed in 2022. So give us a call at 800-842-7799 or check out our website at www.goldencareagent.com.